Yeah, here at T3 Live, and if it's Tuesday, it's the Wheels in Motion show. And so tonight, not too much. We've got a Fed day coming, exhaustion, and so I can't stress this enough, right? Understanding that there's a sequence of things that occur, when things occur matters. So what's happening right now is that we're coming into the end of the year, right? Which means everything's about to reset. And what you want to be able to look at is the yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly setups. Are these setting up at all for any type of reversal or continuation? If we go into continuation, that means the VIX will most likely drop or stay stagnant where it is. And what that means is that you really got to understand how to trade these gappers and movers, right? A lot of people don't know how to understand how to get on something like Mongab today. Look, you got to understand how you have to know how to do this. It's like you can be an investor and say I'm going to sit there and let my SPY and all this kind of stuff drift higher, right, over time, and be like, okay, I'm still good, I'm still good, I'm still good. Just let it go. I mean, look at this, 4 months in here, and now you're up a little bit. But when you have something moving, like come on, Gub, you got to know how to do this, right? You have to understand how to do this because these are the things that are moving. The inside 15 here, the 60 reversal here, and here we got a 60 reversal here. Look at this. Even if you waited to bottom pick it and counter time frame continuity, because 60 is a major signal above 129.95, you're still going to be watching the shorter term to go inside 15 down, right here below 130.25. Lock in what you made on that, and then take this back home, right? So I can't stress that enough. It's that. We're coming into a new year, and we're nowhere near any major reversals. That's why you have a bunch of this low VIX stuff as we grind higher or towards the highs, and constantly going after gaps in story stocks that are moving, right? And so for 2020, you have to learn this. That's period. Period. If you're going to make money trading, you have to understand where to go with the volatility and stuff like that. So what else do we have? We got Tesla. Come on, man. So Tesla does this. Inside week and up here, right? And we're coming to the end of the year, so we've taken out this and that. This is an outside bar, which is a broadening formation on a shorter term time frame, right? It is. So what that means is we want to look to see if we can take up into here and all this, right? Because a broadening formation is going to be an outside bar from here to here of all this, right? So we're coming up here. Now, if this were to reverse, which it has no evidence of yet, first of all, it would have to take this out or give us a reversal pattern tomorrow. This is the level that we'd want to know about. The high of 344.57. Right? If you can come into that, then you can potentially come back through this range. Right now, you're not doing that. It's inside quarter and up, setting up RevStrat year, right? And at this point, this was the highs of the year. So even if we don't do it in the next 3 weeks, right there's something you're going to want to know about come next year, 361.20, right? So far, so good. Inside week to the upside, inside quarter to the upside, right? Like so. What we have noticed in the last month or two is the bios coming up. Now, this is still going to be an inside year, right? So far, and you can see Labu coming up here, but if you look at it on the daily, you're going to see this, right? Walking up. People say channel, whatever you want to make up in your own mind. What I'm telling you is that it's a tighter series of broadening formations where it comes in, keeps walking up. And so each day, what we're doing is we are certainly looking at the biotechs every day. And that's changing every day. We've got some of the story stocks that'll blast off like your AUPH, and that continue today here, an inside day to the upside. And, we've looked at things like AERI here coming up because we've seen this broadening formation here, and if this kicks in, this is what you want to be able to do is gauge magnitude. How far is something going to work, right? Because we know outside bars exist. Now we've got our lower low. Now we come up through here. This would be a risk here if you came back through here, because then it would be a lower broadening formation back through. We don't have that yet. So stuff like that we're looking at. You see it AGIO. Talked about this still coming up here. And at this point, it's a lot of continuation from what we knew. Here, from here to here on a monthly basis is an outside bar of all this. Now, we had our 2-2 reversal on AGIO here above 35.35. Now 44.25. Do the math on that in 2 months. So you just want to be able to be aware of this stuff. So we have ICPT. And ICPT used to be somebody, right? We always like to look at these things that used to be somebody way up there. It's like if anything goes wrong, they go to zero. If they don't, something like a PBYI having all sorts of trouble fighting back down here. You can see this. If anything goes wrong, there's your 3 and all the way back down. Here's your 2-2 reversal here. Below 35.55, trading $8, right? But if you've got things that are recovering, and I know bio is a little sketchy because it's always a matter of, do the drugs work or not. However, what we did have in ICPT was goes up, stops them out, or as we like to say, triangle them out, inside day, upside. Now these 2 bars are still inside of this, right? Are still inside of here, right? So it reverts to a multi-day one. So anytime you go inside and you don't get out of the bar, the mother bar that you get out of, this reverts. Therefore, here would be a rev strat to the downside here and a multiple bar 1 here if it takes that out. Otherwise, if we take this out, it's still a multiple bar 1, right? And so it would be considered a 2-day inside pattern above 115.31, and then we can look for the reversals that kick back into that kind of stuff. So one of the examples I used today is TVIX. And when you're learning how to do this, I want to stay in the 30-60 gaps and use reversals. But this was a good example on the 5-minute here if you go back to the opening here. Right, so it spikes up, right? We know we want to be short this. Now, this is not the ideal time because we've got some time from continuity against us and all this kind of stuff. But I just want to point this out because there'll be times when you have full time from continuity, the downside in the futures, that you get a pop like this in TVIX, and you may never have to cover, right? So here, you'll see this goes up, 2-2 reversal off the 5, here below 71.33. So you're creating your winning position on a reversal. Then it comes down here and goes inside 5. Now you can add to it because you're already playing with their money. 71.33. 69.40 you add. Now here, you might freak out because it goes 3. That's okay. Here, you can take off the ad or just make sure your ad doesn't turn into a loser, which it didn't. Then once it comes down here and you get the Rev Strat 5, now we'll talk about taking it off. You would also be watching the flip, which means the 60-minute, right? Most people don't know that a 60-minute to us is a new day. Every 60 minutes is a new day. Some people just, I think it's this, that, whatever, right? Whatevs, right? You got your big puker, and then here you can see this. You are fine. You had that short was up in here and comes down here. Boom, you can see the difference here. The new 60 right there. That's why the bottom of the hour is important. You have a new hourly bar. Now it can go back against you because we know that the broader averages are challenged as far as time frame continuity. So that's how you can catch that there. Other than that, we have a Fed day, and let's let them shake them out because as we come into exhaustion, which means the end of the quarter, end of the year, all that kind of stuff, we're going to be looking at what everything sets up for the new year, right? And if we're all near the highs, it's going to be grind, grind, grind. And for your 401ks and whatever that's great. As far as trading, we need to stay in volatility. So shop is Rev Strat to the upside. Inside bar here, and then hammer counters at 344. Now we took this out. So the question is going to be strong enough to take this out at 395. Maybe, maybe not. But so long as this stays green, see, now we're back in this range. That's a bit of a problem. Now we're going to have an inside day tomorrow. That'll tell us a few tales, right? We're going to keep watching all this stuff because it tried to go up here. This is important to understand. This is an inside day. And yes, we had full time frame continuity. What's the magnitude? Once it takes that out, this stuff, which it did, then it's a matter of whether the buyers step up. Because anybody short is short against that, that, and that. We know that, right? So it comes back in. It's not the end of the world. Right now you got an inside day. The question is the buyer still walking up in here? Is he still sitting on 360? What's he doing? Right? Or what groups are doing that? So we're going to watch that inside day. But we have a Fed day, so it might, just going to continue to watch the sequence. Another thing you want to look for is when you have strength in like Labu is anything that's weak. That's your EW. Right now EW, you can see this. EW is 2-2 down to the on the month there below 230.56. right? It's not down by much, but it is. And you got a strong biotech sector, and you can see this here, right? Taking this out. So we would continue to watch this. And if you knew about that, you would see this the inside day and go boom right here below 238.78, right? So there's $8-9 or whatever it is. So want to be aware of that. Energy's been real tough, right? What we do have is APA, and so APA, you can see this takes this down out, and then comes back up. So we don't want to come back into this 2042. Otherwise, it's just triangle the out, and come back through. But at this point, you do have your weekly as 2-2 reversal hammer back up over 2042, and what we'll say is, what's the next two will that create, negate, or do? I always want to be forward thinking. If this works, what does it create, or what does it negate, right? And so at this point, you'd say, if you had a scan, that this is inside month to the downside, which is true. However, it's in conflict with the scenario. The scenario is too down, but time frame continuity to the upside, which says potential rev strat to the upside. If we're going to go 1 bar rev strat and go outside bar of all this, the conditions would be full time frame continuity to the upside. So anytime you have that, you set it up. Even if you don't make it, you set that up for January. And when we come to January, we want to see the new allocations. Are they actually going to come into these energies, right? Because we know they haven't. But you got a new year, and you've got a lot of people thinking over, where am I going to go in this market? And if they do, and say, okay, it's energy time, right? That's something we want to know about. At this point, not too exciting. John Deere trying to come back into here, and John Deere does this on the weekly. The 3-2-2. And the reason that's important is this is an outside bar, which is a broadening formation, which means we're back into it, right? By going to it. So as long as John Deere's over 167.48, that's something I want to know about this week. Anytime that it has full time frame continuity back to the upside. If you go to the daily and pull it out, you're going to see this. So people are always like, how do you draw the triangles, Rob? I'm like, all you're doing is identifying an outside bar that's either shown on a different time frame or not shown on the time frame that you're looking at. So from here to here is an outside bar of all this, right? Okay. Therefore, since we know ranges expand on both sides, if this is the range expansion on the downside and comes back up, we're going all the way up there. And so as long as this 2-2 reversal on the weekly is good, that's something I'm going to want to know about. NVCR having some issues here, and you can see this on the weekly. The 2-2 reversal here, below 89.79, right? Still puking, right? Still good. If you go to the monthly, you're going to see this. Still inside, but bright red, open on the highs of the month. And the daily, here's how you get in on something like that. Look at that. The 2-2, boom, right there, below 88.52. Right? Trading 79.28 in 4 days, right? When you know what to look for. The crowd goes mild. So the crowd here having some issues here too. If you look at the monthly, so here's the difference. Look at SPY, Qs, crowd. See the difference? Opens on the high and going towards the lows. This would be inside month and down to all-time lows below 44.80. That's something would get my attention. And certainly, if you look at the weekly, how you'd know about that is here, the inside week. Right there, bam, below 54.26. So, as I said, that we got a Fed day. There's a lot still, like Mongobs and all these things that are giving us opportunities during the day. There's Tesla that we've known about. We want to stick on those type of things. Otherwise, you get caught in what we call the vortex of the low VIX. You're looking at just a daily or a week or a 60-minute chart. Some people don't even look at that. They're trying to trade 5 minutes. You want to be able to gauge magnitude. You want to understand when is this occurring. It's the end of the year. Everything's about to reset, where we're going to have multiple levels of yearly, quarterly, weekly, and monthly, all this kind of stuff coming into the new year. So right now we've got a Fed. We'll see how that affects anything. It's like, what are you expecting from the Fed? Nothing. Okay, so nothing you get, and you get these ridiculous ranges in the futures. If you go to the daily, right, you're like, How are you going to trade this in the futures? Maybe you get a day here and there, but look at this. This is nothing, and that's what a low VIX environment looks like. And we prefer the VIX over 20, right? We don't get it, so be it. We go to where stocks are acting as if they were the Mongobs and all that kind of stuff of the world, and we're going to stay on that. And so, if you're new to this and you're not trading with us, I highly suggest you come, because when you learn how to trade in this environment, right, and going to the volatility, that when the volatility shows up in the futures and you see all these guys throwing their hands up, my levels are getting taken out, right? You know what to do, right? You know what to do. So when we go back to the monthly, here, did we know about all this stuff last year? Yeah, October, 2-2, inside and down December, inside and up January, outside. Here, 3-2 up, and now stuck in here. You're going to know that, right? And trust me, this is something you need to know if you're going to be a professional trader. All right, well, like I said, we got Fed Day tomorrow, and we're going to see how it goes. All right, that's going to do it for today. I'm Rob Smith, the Black Quant VTF, because if it's Tuesday, it's the Wheels in Motion show.